Welcome to Epic Stage Journeys and Then Some. And now, here's your host, Gavin.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back finally. Damn it, I didn't think we were ever going to do this again. It's been kind of quiet. So, I got a guy that's in the pit with me today because we're going to take a look at we're going to do something I don't do. We're going to talk a little bit of politics, not a lot, but this is a friend of mine. This is Blake Jones, and Blake is the mayoral candidate for the great city of Cleburne and the wonderful state of Texas. So, Blake, welcome. How are you, man?
I'm good, Gavin. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, I'm glad you took time out to come on. I know you've been busy. It's what, next week is the big day, isn't it?
This coming Saturday.
Oh, wow. Is it getting a little nerve-wracking, or are you doing all right?
No, it's been a beating.
It's been a hell of a ride.
It came as advertised, I'll put it that way.
I bet, and Tracy still, you kind of rubbed her. When you pulled the sticker out the other day and you said, "Hey, can I put this somewhere?" And I thought you were going to stick it on the building or something. I said, "Yeah, put it on the shop. I don't care." You stuck it in her back window of her car. And she goes, "That damn Blakey put a sticker on my car." And I said, "Well, I told him he could put it somewhere. I just didn't know he was going to put it on your car."
Yeah, I don't want to put it on any paint. That's my saving grace. It's perfect for windows, though.
She goes, "Well, I'm gonna leave it on there until after the election." And I just want to clarify one thing. I cannot vote. So he is on as my friend, and we're just going to talk about it. We'll talk about the other candidates too, but I can't vote because we don't live in the city limits. So we're kind of outside of it. So we don't get to vote on those things.
How long have we known each other, by the way?
I don't know, 10 years maybe?
Golly.
I know it flies by, and it's just, and then, because now are you still on city council, or did you have to give up your seat?
No. I'm still District 2 city councilman and elected as mayor pro tem by the entirety of the council. So when a good way to think of mayor pro tem is backup mayor. So I've already been doing the gig to some extent whenever Scott Kane couldn't be in town.
Yeah.
Which here lately, I mean, he's been in 14 years. He wants to go be a granddad, go out to pasture, doing his thing. He's put in a lot of work.
I talked to him. It's been a while ago. I talked to him, and I didn't think he was going to make the run for this time. And I thought he was going to step down, but he went ahead and did it anyway. But I don't blame him. He's a great guy. I know him. He and his wife, his family, they're all great. And they've been, well, let's just talk about the social media slugs for a minute, because they have been picking on him. They've been picking on you. Now there's two other candidates, correct?
Right.
And one of them is
Derek Weathers.
Yeah, Derek Weathers. Now, I don't know Derek. I know you guys. I will say this: you two have been very civil with each other. You're not slinging mud. You're not calling anybody out on a bunch of crap that doesn't exist or anything. And so I respect that. I think it's been a pretty clean thing. Now the third guy, I don't know anything about him.
Well, a lot of folks don't. And I will say, yeah, it's been refreshing to have a race with Derek, and he's salt of the earth guy. We're good friends, which has made this campaign way more simple. I'm getting more blowback from folks on, the echo chamber that is Facebook more than I am from Derek. Matter of fact, I've had none from Derek whatsoever. And we kind of agreed when we got into this, it was not going to happen that way.
Yeah, because he's on city council too, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys know each other. And now the third guy, when I saw the picture of him without his shirt on, flexing his muscles, I'm like, where the hell is this going? And I had no idea. So who is this third guy?
Yeah, he's a realtor. He'll tell you he's a chemical engineer and can operate any kind of equipment, no matter what it is. That was the gist I got, and that's as much as I know.
Okay.
That is Doug Schweitzer.
Okay, so if we needed a ditch dug or something, they were putting some new pipe or something, he's good to go. Then he's good there. So now I want, and I did not know this until you and I talked about it a little while ago, but this is not a paid position.
Nope.
You guys, you do not make any money off this. So, after reading, how everybody said, oh, Scott Kane, he's lined his pockets with that, yada. And I was like going, no, he didn't. The guy's not getting paid.
Yeah, I finally clapped back at that one. I was just tired of it. And I think I did it with a little bit of grace. I didn't attack anybody. I just said,
No.
hey, if you're going to come out here and say stuff like this, back it up with some facts. By the way, here's my facts. You want to discuss policy or something I voted on? Let's talk about it. And it's been crickets. They did ask me if I voted in favor of forced annexation. I had to remind them no.
Yeah, I did see that.
I'm
And
fairly certain most of the state of Texas voted to get rid of forced annexation
yeah,
5 years ago.
yeah, because I talked to the who is it? The not the well, hell, city manager. I
Michael,
I don't know if I talked to him or if I talked to one before him. But anyway, we had the discussion if they
Steve.
were. I was asking him. Yeah, I think it was Stephen, and we were talking about it, and I asked him if they were thinking about coming out and annexing us out here because we're only about 2 miles outside the city limits.
It's
or
not
something.
far.
It's not far, and I was talking to him about it. And I said, you think you guys are going to annex out here?" But he said, no, he couldn't see it right away because they've got to run. They'd have to run sewage out here. It's water. It goes on and on. He goes, it's a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
And I get it. And so good because I don't want to be annexed. So,
Yeah, it comes with its own tax bill.
So if you get in office, you just keep your ass over there, and we'll stay over here. And
Hey, that's the beauty of the annexation laws, though. You have to agree to do it.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. I just we're okay out here. We have little issues with the septic tank every once in a while, but other than that, we're good. So we're fine. But I know I've been reading so much here lately of what's been going on, and I think my question was the ballpark.
Mhm.
That had been an issue for me because I watched it. Tracy and I got involved with it when they started it. And, we helped to kind of, get the word out, and get people to, let's vote it in and let's do it. It
Or
could be great.
part of the pack.
Yeah. And I saw, but what I saw was something a lot more than just a baseball park. I saw an entertainment facility. They said it's big enough that they could have a soccer field on it. And, I was looking at it, man, you could do shows, you have concerts, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. And no, they didn't do any of that. And it all fell on deaf ears. And even though Tracy and I did do the team store out there for a couple of seasons, but that even didn't end up very well. That kind of got ugly at the end. But I just, I kept seeing it, and I still see it as it could be a great thing. And I think Shanna Peacock, she proved it when she did her fundraiser out there, and they had all the bands out there, all the cover bands and stuff. And man, people just enjoyed it. It was great. I mean, the stands are full. People were sitting out there on the field and enjoying it. And I thought, and I was looking at it, and I think I might have been sitting in a suite that your grandmother has, I believe. And, but I was just kind of looking, and I was kind of sectioning things. Tracy goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking to see how many people we could put on the field if we had a big show out there and stuff." But they don't want to do it, and I just don't understand. What's the deal with them?
Well, you gotta keep in mind the ballpark itself was it's been through 3 cycles of ownership. First we had Donnie Nelson, and that was, they came riding in, and we were promised a whole lot more than what was delivered on. Now, I wasn't on council at the time whenever this went through. Matter of fact, that was 2016 when the deal was struck and signed, and they're coming up on their contract July.
Yeah, I would say because it was for 10 years, wasn't it?
Yep. It's already been 10 years. And we have a beautiful 7-Eleven on the most prominent corner and nothing else.
We're still, we kept watching, and I kept going, they're building something. I told Tracy, they're building something, they're starting, and it was a 7-Eleven. I went, and then they didn't build anything else, and I went, okay. Now, I did notice they build some houses or some housing kind of units things on down on one side, the other side of it.
Yeah, and I'm not a developer, so I can't speak to their choices.
Yeah.
But and keep in mind the railhead development is completely separate from New Era, which is the responsible party for the area around the depot. Now, that railhead development that came about, and it's still underway. It's going to be nice. If I'm the railhead, what I'm doing is putting my smaller units on the ground, and they came. It was they call it a 10-minute community where all the smaller homes just pop up in the middle of nowhere, and they did.
Mm.
I remember driving down Woodruff Road, and I could smell the lumber coming off the buildings over there. But man, we had 30 days with the CIAC, talking to realtors, talking to builders, local builders, and this was whenever we were going through the impact fee adoption.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Scott, I don't know if it was timed, so he could throw me in the hot seat, but that was my first brush with having to play backup mayor for a while, and we had to adopt the new impact fees, and they went from 5,000 to 15,000. I'm rounding, but that's for water, wastewater, and roads. And of course, we had pushback from the associations and the builders because they thought, you're going to stop growth in Cleburne. It's going to come to a halt if you go up this much. And it didn't. Still going. And now they're meeting again, looking at increasing them again. But man, if I'm a developer and I'm the railhead, I'm throwing my smaller units down first while I have that window of the $5,000 per lot impact fees. They said if you got in by April 1st of last year, then you were good. Nobody was gonna, your final plat is what they go off of whenever you turned in that. And the smaller units coming up, it's a lot harder to sell if you gotta add $10,000 more to your purchase price, which it does. It passes through to the homeowner. Now, people here, we try to protect them because we want growth to pay for growth.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't something designed to hurt the local builders. It was more to take care of this tract housing with the larger developers like D.R. Horton, Lennar. And we've got a lot of that going on. And when they come in, they play judge, jury, executioner. They got the financing, the insurance, all that is in-house. And, some of it's been put up to scrutiny, including the quality of the build. And it wasn't designed to hurt the smaller builders. And I've got a method to circumvent that and help them out. And I hope that it gets employed regardless of whether or not I get elected, because I've kind of already put the idea out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was through neighborhood empowerment zones, where you pretty much draw a circle on a map where you want to incentivize truly custom builds. And it doesn't have to be big to be custom or nice. And it's a work in progress, but it's going to be good for the infill lots and for the areas, kind of like Mark and Sherry White did by Harvest Hill by the lake. They could have shoved a bunch of smaller houses in there by right, just due to the zoning.
Yeah.
They made the decision to do half-acre lots with the septic systems on each of them. And now we have a new product on the real estate market that Cleveland didn't have before. And, in my opinion, that first domino had to fall, and I think they did it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I noticed they're building a lot out here. Down 3136 was, just on the other side over here, and they're building a lot of houses over in there. But
mm-hmm.
And then of course down here on 2nd Street, when 4 ends and turns into 2nd, they built all those houses over by the ballpark over there. And there's a lot of growth going on. And but that's what everybody was screaming for. They wanted to get, we want to get better restaurants and we want to do this and do that. But, you know, and you know, they kind of threw it over. I think they were kind of throwing it at Scott going, you know, why aren't you doing this? And I was like going, it's not just him. I mean, these businesses come in, they're going to run demographics. They want to see, you know, how many households are here? What's the average income per household? How many people are in a household? You know, it goes on and on and on. And they look at all this stuff. And if the numbers aren't right for them, they're not coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've told people that over and over again. I said, they're going to run the demographics and they're going to see where, you know, what's going on before they're going to commit to putting in something big. Because, you know, I know out there by the ballpark, they're wanting, you know, all this big stuff out there. But I was like going, you know, it's not the city's call. It's up to the people building it or coming in. So,
and we tried to plug in. I tried to personally draw in Alamo Tap House. It's a different version of a movie tavern. I tried to draw in a Big Shots, which is the franchise version of Top Golf.
Right.
And Club Core owns it because Top Golf's still family owned. Every one of them told me no, just because while we had the rooftops, we didn't have the median income, we didn't have the traffic counts.
Right.
We had the proximity to a larger city, but, you know, growth doesn't just sprawl from a large city and skip every other one in between and land. In our particular situation, when the sprawl came from Fort Worth, they weren't going to skip over Burleson and Godley and say, hey, let's just go straight to Cleburne.
Right.
It takes time.
Yeah, it does. It does. It you know, and you know, I've noticed there's more things coming in now, and it's getting better. I mean, we've been here for it'll be 16 years next month. I can't believe we've been here that long. But it's you know, when we got here, it was just, you know, not much going on. But I mean, I've watched it just expand and expand and expand. But now they're going to have to work on the traffic a little bit. But other than that, you know, we're not, you know, not going to be. But like you said, you know, you look at Burleson or, you know, you go up the tollway and you notice, and, you know, Tracy'd go, well, what about all that? What about all that? And I said, yes. But it's there because look at all the houses that are around here and all the new houses they built out there, and they're just still building out there. And I said, they can support it. Right now, there's some things I just don't think that Cleburne's big enough to support. Yeah. And, you know, I think it'll get there someday, but it's just, but God almighty, the whining on social media is just, I don't know. I look at it and I want to scream some days. I know you probably would just want to bang your head on the wall sometimes, because I look at it and go, Jesus, give it a rest, people. But
it's part of the job in this new generation, man.
I know
it is. I mean, some folks could ignore it, but social media plays a role in communication with constituents.
I will say this. Look, if you're going to, and you're going to have to forgive me because I'm going to rant here for a minute. If you're going to talk shit on social media, don't list yourself as anonymous. Put your name on up there and stand up and do it. If you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. And I don't give a flying about your opinion. I don't care. I keep telling, this is why I don't talk politics, because when I grew up, you know, back in the day, we did our civic duty and we voted.
Yeah.
But we didn't go around talking about who we voted for. We didn't ask people who they voted for, because it was none of your business. It was none of your business who I voted for. It was none of my business who you voted for. And that's just the way it was. Now it's like everybody's got to talk about it. Everybody's got an opinion about this. I got an opinion about that. No. Two things you have to do. Shut up and vote. That's all you got to do. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what my opinion is. Nobody cares what your opinion is. I don't care if you don't like the president, if you don't like the governor, just vote. Just get out and vote. That's all you can do. But you sitting there whining about it on social media all the time and crying and boo-hooing ain't doing anybody any favors. You're not doing yourself any favors. My God, people, it's just like, and I feel, you know, and I admire you. I really do, because you're running for this office, and it's just, and I've seen some of the crap they've thrown at you, and I've thought, I know I couldn't do it because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. but you've been very civil about this, and I think you've got your mind in the right place. And I'm sure I hope the other candidates do too, but it's like, I'd be like, no, I'd want to strangle somebody before it was all over with. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, Derek and I see eye to eye on most things, with the exception of one very important thing. I'll touch on that here in a minute. But the reality is, the world we live in, back then, folks would be at odds, the debates would take place, a president would get elected, and then the country would back them, no matter what. And then they'd go cast their opinion in the ballot box. Now, because the internet is a very easily accessible thing, it's get elected, fight each other tooth and nail, do your best to absolutely destroy the other party in the two-party system, and hope that you get your way. And that's not a way to be. That's why I like local politics so much, because in my opinion, it's a different animal. It's where it matters most, when it's closest to the people.
Yeah.
And frankly, I couldn't. So another thing I hadn't put out there, but now I will, because I'm thinking about it. I cannot get paid to be an elected official, because I do, my financial services. I've got a securities license, and if I were to ever be paid to be an elected official, that would kill that. And I'm not going to let that go. I like the fact that we don't get paid to do this job, because it creates more of a natural filter for folks that want to run, because, if one, it gets rid of the scrutiny involved with all the line in your pockets BS. I mean,
Right.
with what? And then also, it only sets folks up that have the means and have gone through life enough to build themselves up to be a true public servant, because you have to, if you're going to actually make a dent and represent the folks that are counting on you to be the face of Cleveland.
Yep.
And I can say I'm the only candidate in the race that isn't tied to a 9-to-5 job and that has grown up here. And I mean, I've seen the mistakes of the past. I know where we can go to be better, and I know what we shouldn't do, more importantly. And that's the biggest point that Derek and I differentiate on. As far as what Doug wants to do, all I can say, because I've heard it and it's been posted live, is that he'd like to nix, 86 all the department heads and go the way that the commissioner's court does. Let the mayor and council be paid positions, 4-year terms, run the city. And I mean, I'm not in favor of that. I think we got excellent people in place. We have very good staff. Michael Marrero's been, I mean, he's absolutely killed it. He's done all the things that Steve did not do right, and it takes time. But there's a reason why we don't have fried chicken joints and title-owned places every other block anymore. We're starting to get Hobby Lobby, Olive Garden, Firehouse Subs, name brands out here. And it's because we're growing in the right way, and it takes time. You got to be steady about it, and you got to be mindful. And when it comes down to the mayor and council role, our biggest concern is, infrastructure and public safety. Are your roads working? Do you have access to water? And are the police and fire department going to get there on time when you have a problem?
Right.
If we can't maintain those basic 3 things, of course, once your budget's in order and you're cash fluid, you can get into the better things like the park systems but the end of it all, if the proverbial crap were to hit the fan, we'd cut everything to make those work and make sure, one, we can adjust, step raises, COLA, all that, to keep the staff here. Because the longer you keep those staff, the more they come to know where the problems are, and they can bring up the folks coming into the system that decide to go into the public sector. And that's important. I mean, you get a revolving door in some departments, even on the ambulances with the fire department. I've had complaints about, we lost a guy on an ambulance, and in a life or death situation, which typically it is, those folks knowing each other and how each other operate matters, because you're in a situation where seconds matter.
Right. Sure.
And I mean, Fundamentally, if you can't control the budget to at least keep your people, which is the city's greatest asset, is its people, its staff, then you're dead in the water. I mean, forget all the niceties, everything else coming in. We've course corrected. The previous administration has course corrected for over a decade what the administration prior to it had screwed up. And that was buying down ad valorem with oil and gas royalties. That's when the wells dried up. That's when they sold off the road equipment. That's when there's a reason you don't see Buddy Stewart Park being used anymore. I used to play soccer out there as a kid. Now there's no soccer. Well, funding didn't allow for it because of what happened so long ago, and they've just caught up to where we're able to actually start the 4B projects, open the 4A, which 4A was done initially on the ballpark, but now there's creative ways to plug into the city and use these excess funds to make real change. But it takes somebody that understands business and understands where can these dollars make the most impact and where can you partner with the private sector to really leverage those dollars into something that's going to make the community better.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. It's everybody's just really quick to think that, these things just come out of nowhere, but there's a lot of work to it. And even with the ballparks, when that started, that was, and I forget who was running that whole thing in the beginning. I didn't like him though, but that was beside the point. But it turned out to be a great facility.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I just don't feel like it's being utilized properly. I think just playing baseball.
I think communication could be a lot better with the residents too. Because when we say 4A for an economic development corporation, folks don't know what that means unless they've been on the other side of the veil, which is council. But in reality, insurance is a lot that way too. I mean, you spend 3 months of your life to take an 8th grade aptitude test. You learn what all the jargon means, and now you understand it, and you have to have a license to do it. I feel like city council would be no other way. It's not that complicated once you've got almost a glossary of terms, which might not be a bad idea to go and throw that on the website and say, here's what 4A means, here's what 4B means. But the ballpark, which a lot of folks would be interested to know and would probably snuff out a lot of the negativity on Facebook, means they take a debt issuance, pay for something that's supposed to drive economic development, and buy down that debt with sales taxes derived from the city, not from property taxes. We had a whole lot of folks say, oh, you want to put a new ballpark here, but you don't want to fix the potholes. Not the same pot of money. It's not one big checkbook. And that's important for folks to know.
Yeah, because I noticed that, a lot of that has been a big issue too, is the streets. And I kept thinking, everybody keeps talking about how bad the streets are. And I'm thinking, you know what? Take your ass up to Boston for a week and drive around up there and you'll know what bad streets look like. This is not bad. I mean, I'm sure there are issues in areas and stuff, but the way they talk about it, there's potholes that could swallow a car, in one pass. And, it's things like that. And it's like, it's, and I know that you guys have to deal with TxDOT a lot too, because, and dealing with them that's just a whole animal in itself right there, dealing with TxDOT. Been there, done that, because we had property up in Little Elm for a while, and TxDOT came through, excuse me, and they edged around the property because they were widening the road out there. And so they bought a section of that land and went around. But once it was agreed what the price was going to be and everything, well, they took more than what they said they were going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And we went back and said, wait a minute, and they were like, we can condemn the property if we want to. And so I told everybody, I told my folks, I said, we're just going to back off. Just leave them alone. Just let them do what they're going to do, because it's a fight you're not going to win. You can try, but it's not going to, I don't think it's going to work. But, I've always said about downtown, I love downtown here, but you got to stop rolling the 18-wheelers and the concrete trucks and this and that and the other thing down through downtown. And until you stop that, because everybody's like, we should have a downtown like Granbury. And I said, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because go to Granbury, look at their downtown. How many 18-wheelers do you see roll through there? And how many of this truck did you see? And how many of that truck did you see roll through there?
Well, it's not going to happen yet. So one thing folks need to understand, and I found this out whenever I went to meet with Judge Harmon at the time, back when I ran in 2019, I asked about the truck traffic. He turns around and he pulls out this packet of paper and he throws it on his desk, and it says the 2040 mobility study. 2040 was the year they planned to address this. The Johnson County Transportation Bond Committee that was put together that handled a lot of like the railroad crossings and stuff in the county, Cleburne saw no immediate benefit from that, but the one thing we did get out of the deal was bumping that study up to now. So we are now in that situation where they have to decide whose land they're going to take to throw in that south loop. And that's what it boils down to. Everybody wants the trucks out, but it comes at a cost, and it means taking other people's land.
And I know somebody that's in line for that too. So that could be interesting. But I know that loop that's been on the books for a long time, because we talked about that years ago. We started discussing when we had the first store downtown, and we were talking, and Scott would have meetings and stuff, and we would talk about it. And I told everybody, I said, because they kept going, we need to make downtown like Granbury, and I told everybody, I said, just drop it, because it's not going to happen until we get the traffic fixed. And they go, well, that's not it. And I said, that's all it is. Just control the traffic. And, it's kind of like, remember when they took that, whatever the hell that thing was that they brought up through town, and they were going to turn left by the courthouse, and then they were going to go around the other way. Excuse me. And I kept looking at that thing as they pulled it up, and I went, that's not going around that corner. And they go, oh yeah, the back wheels turn too. And I kept looking at it, and I was like going, guys, I've backed enough trucks in, and I've watched them come in and out. And I said, that is not going around the corner. Well, and then I asked him, I said, where's TxDOT? Because Main Street is TxDOT. And Cattle, no, that's all TxDOT. And I said, where are they? Oh, well, they're in Austin. Well, when I was in the business, when I was in the entertainment business, and we'd do CAD drawings and everything, and we'd look at where everything looked, and it all looked great on paper. Looks beautiful on paper until you get there. And then you see something that's not in the spot where you thought it was on that drawing or something. And so that makes changes to things. And I was looking at that truck going up there, and I told him, I said, guys, you're not going around that corner. Oh yeah, we're going to make it. Nope, because that big oak tree that was sitting right there in front of the courthouse was blocking the way, and he couldn't get around it. And then what they do, they wanted to ask if they could cut the tree down. And I thought, good luck with that. I think the judge shot that down pretty quick. I don't even think they got the whole sentence out before he just said, nope, not happening.
And the unfortunate reality is we need TxDOT more than they need us for that reason, where the town is riddled with their roads. Yeah. And that's okay. That means whenever we get into the position where we want to upgrade, we can make the move initially once we have the funding. And like the transportation bond was, they're a 80-20 match. So, and they include the consultants to work through it. It's just, you also run through some scenarios. Anything you do through TxDOT has to go through Buy America. So anything you use for your project is here local, which again is not a bad thing. Now, the FM4 project, that was a TxDOT thing, 100%. And I got roped into that a couple times. I've answered that question 3 times on Facebook as best I could. And because it also preceded whenever I came on. And man, I learned real quick, kind of the same thing they're doing with the bridge that's supposed to go over by the depot. They told us whenever we initially started, they said, hey, we're going to be in here in a couple years to go and widen FM4 out by, well, coming up to your place. And they said, go ahead and move your utilities. So we hired a contractor at the time that specialized in that. Well, fast forward, COVID hits. Project gets halted. They come back in 2024, early 2024, and said, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and make a move and go ahead and get this going." And then come August, something like that, said, "You know what? We're gonna postpone this project indefinitely. We are out of funds." And so then we had to get a hold of a contractor that was not a contractor that did roads. Had to work that out with them, and then we had to do it ourselves, essentially, because that Valero station right there was taking a beating. They almost went out of business because that's their spot. It was shut down.
Yeah, they shut that down. That was shut down for a long time.
And, we got into the spot about September where we moved to go ahead and do it ourselves, and by the middle of December, it was done because we were the ones going to handle it. But the reason it took so long is because TxDOT said, "Hey, we're going to come fix this. Go ahead and get your utilities in order." We used the rest of the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds that the Biden administration threw everywhere. And we were going to use those for the infrastructure upgrades because, frankly, the east side needs some love when it comes to curb and gutter and, utility, period. And at the beginning it looked like such a great thing, and then of course when we get halted by control outside of ours, everything flows up to the top. That's one of many examples why folks go after Mayor Kane.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure that out when they did that down on 2nd Street, and then I started studying it, and they said, "Oh, well, they're going to widen it, and then they're going to come this way." And I thought, well, with all the new housing that they're putting in there, I get all that. And then I read that, well, TxDOT went, "No, we're going to stop. We're just going to pull out for right now." And so, it kind of left everybody with their pants down, and they're like, "Well, wait a minute, you were supposed to get all this done," and so they had to do what, like you said, they had to come in and bring another person in to finish the thing up. Because, I mean, wasn't out moving around a whole bunch, but I told Tracy if we went down, we always had to take a right on Washington. We couldn't go forward any further. And I said, I imagine it's going to be like a gold brick road when it's all done because they've been working on it for so long. But then I found out what was going on, and I thought, well, that's why it's taking so long.
People can come in there with so much anger about that particular project at the city. When we got the go-ahead and we knew we had to move, because of how well the city deals with its budget, our cash reserves and capital improvements, we didn't have to borrow money to finish that. We had the money to finish that. If we didn't, we would have issued a CO, and then guess what? We'd end up having to do the tax rate.
Yep.
And, it's much easier to cash fund something cost-wise than it is to pay interest over time. Although we've got a very good rating whenever we come in because we've always been on top of our bills, paid them on time, and our borrowing capacity is top notch. But it's due to the hardship we faced over the last decade. When we sold off the road equipments and all that, it comes back to 2019 when Jeremy Hunt got it going, and we're 6 years into the program. And one of the things you'll hear a lot is the worst first approach, and that's a terrible ideology because we budget $2.5 million a year. We do that because we could put more in. We could take out more bond debt to do more.
Yep.
But we're at a staffing capacity for the folks that can sit there and make sure that the people we outsource do the job right. And you want to do it right, not twice. So $2.5 million right now, year over year, is what we've allocated. Now, with that budget, we managed to replace 50 miles of road within the city. But again, it's not the worst first. You could get, 10 miles of mill and overlay or resurfacing where you take off the top 2 to 4 inches.
Yeah.
of a well-traveled road and extend its life by a good 10 years, or you can completely rebuild 2 miles of road and shoot your wad. So it's a balancing act, and I I'm like the only candidate I feel like that tells people the hard truth, and one of these hard truths is, and it doesn't just apply to Cleburne, but there will never be a day in time where every road within the city limits is pristine.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Mm.
But what I can say is when we have potholes or we have drainage issues or when the water's turning yellow for some crazy reason, because we don't have a crystal ball, you can't see under the ground. And we've dug up a wooden pipe in some areas because it's an old city. But I can say every time somebody calls their councilman and the message gets relayed, or if they put it on the C-Click Fix website, it's remedied within 2 weeks. Every time. Where it doesn't get fixed is if somebody goes on Facebook and gripes about how bad it is.
Oh, well, that's on a daily basis. Hell, that's on
All the
an
time.
hourly basis. Shit, I don't even, I've kind of given up on it, the fact that, I'm on social media for our business, and, so it helps us there. Speaking of which, I've got to thank my sponsor, Tag Custom Products. That's
There you go.
So anyway, that's just taking a cheap shot there for the wife. And yeah, they made those shirts right there.
They sure
too.
did.
Made my hat too. The cool
Should've
thing
brought
about it is if I need a hat, I just run outside of the shop and I just have one made for me. So, but yeah, no, it's just it just I've just been reading it, and it just amazes me where some of the stuff that people come up with and what they're just banging on everybody about. And Scott Kane, love him to death, man. He's got a great family, and they've beat that man senseless.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out that you guys, this is a non-paying job. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, you were born here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised here. You went to TCU, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I thought you went to TCU. And so you've this is your life. You've got a great and I was always been wondering, how did you meet your
You're going to
wife?
ask me about Jennifer, aren't you? Yeah.
How did you meet your wife? Was it like chloroform in a rag, or was
Yeah,
it
right.
heavily drinking, or what was it? I don't...
So, in my past life, it was hospitality, and so we were in it was Woodhaven Country Club, and since then I think it's shut down, but Craigslist ad, I found a job and I was looking to move outside of, because I was bartending at Los Vaqueros in the stockyards. I was building websites here in Cleburne for a while. I was running shifts for Ron Russick at 3 of his stores, and I thought, I've got to find something simpler, because it worked in college, but I was getting to the point where I was fixing to exit out and I needed to make some career moves.
Get ready for life to start.
Right. And so I hopped on at this spot, and she was, at the time, she was number 24, because that's how many banquet coordinators came through the revolving door of this place. Fortunately, I was on the other end of the building.
Oh,
and
I thought when you said number 24, that's how many you went through before you got to her. So
yeah, no.
I'm sorry, that's me. I'm sorry.
Don't let that AI photo of Derek and I fool you.
Yeah.
And so, no, she came in there, and I saw her setting up for actually, she approached me first. She was 29 at the time. I was 21. I was running the food and beverage department, had a satellite bar at a Yellow Rose tournament, and she came up and she said, do you have Crown and Coke? I said, I mean, you got an ID? Because I didn't believe she was older than 21. And that's where we kind of hit it off. And then she was going to go see a Korn concert at the time. And she says, I didn't bring anything else. I said, I got a white t-shirt and Converse. You can borrow them. And then fast forward maybe a couple months, and the boss started making her bawl again. So I took her downstairs. I said, "What happened?" I said, "I like you being here. You're good at your job. Did the big guy up front steer you the wrong way?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "This sucks." And so we talked it out again. I'm approaching it like I'm completely out of her league. And then we were breaking down, it was a 250 party event, and we were the only two there. And I asked her, I gave her the line, I said, "You like jazz?" And she said, "Yeah, she hates jazz." I found out later. Anyway, she went with me to a scat lounge in downtown Fort Worth, still friendly interaction. And I think it was, there were several of those friendly meetings. And then one day I followed her, back to make sure she got home all right. She ran back out in the car and she kissed me. I was like, okay, I guess I'm in there. That's what I'm talking about. So I leaned into that hard, and
Wasn't one of those, no, too soon. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. Right place, right time, I guess. But
I had no idea she was older than you.
yeah, a lot of people don't.
God, because no, I mean, when I first met her, I went, he drugged her. He did something. I know he did, but no, she's beautiful. She's a very beautiful person.
Yeah, she is.
And your kids are great. I love your daughter to death. She's the princess.
She's something else, man. She loves door knocking more than anybody else.
How old is she now?
8.
Oh my gosh. I haven't seen her in a long time. She is just so cute, though. She was, and I used to give her a hard time when I'd see her. But
she'll talk to you like she saw you yesterday.
Oh, I know.
She is.
She's so sweet. But yeah, when I met your wife the first time, I went, "What's up with him?"
A lot of people did.
Yeah,
especially after we moved back to Cleveland, man. As we were gone, I think we came back in 2015, and yeah, got tied the knot, and exactly 1 year later, Aiden was born on the day. So it was our 11th anniversary on the 24th, and also Aiden's 10th birthday. So we didn't celebrate our anniversary on that day. We instead celebrated on the day we had our first date, and we made it, as the kids call it, Facebook official. And then we got tired of doing tacos and all that. The Cinco de Mayo is not a great anniversary day. So we switched it to the day we signed the marriage certificate, which I believe was also come up when her sister passed. So now we do something small on all 3 days, and I still don't know what day we actually celebrate it, but I get flowers just to be safe.
Well, with Tracy, our anniversary, she always thinks it's the day before our wedding date, and I always say, or I think it's the day before, and she thinks it's the day after. We missed it. Now this year will be 23 years, and I swear to God, every year we do the same thing. Hey, I'll look at, because I've actually got a picture of our wedding license in my phone now, so I can remember the date, because that's how bad it is. But every year we've done that. I thought it was earlier. She thinks it's later, and it's right in the middle. And I was like, but we do it every year. It never fails. But we have fun with it, though. It's just another date. To me, it's 23 years. Oh my God.
And my brother came in solid on that day, because she was in there getting ready to give labor, and I told him I forgot the cake, because you keep the cake topper in the freezer, And so he drove up to Fort Worth, got it out of my freezer, and drove to the hospital. I don't even remember if we ate the thing. That was such a whirlwind of a day. So getting ready to have our first kid.
Well, yeah.
We thought, no way he's fixing to come out on this day. Sure enough.
We don't have kids, but, I didn't get married until I was 38, I think, when we got married. And my mother, she always preached to my sister and I. She said, "Don't get married until you're at least 30." And so one day I asked her, I said, after I'd gotten married, and I think it was right before my 39th birthday, I think. I think it was 38 when I got married. But and I asked her, I said, what was the deal with the don't get married before you're 30? Because she goes, you don't know a damn thing in your 20s. You got to learn it, get yourself situated, get yourself in place, and then do your thing. And my sister got married when she was 27. Of course, she's divorced now. She's been divorced for years. But and I was engaged at one time, and I think I was 26 or 27, and I couldn't do it. I would have never. If I'd have gotten married then, we'd have never made it and it was on me. That was just on me.
Sure.
Because I wasn't behaving myself, and I really wasn't planning on behaving myself. And my dad told me a long time ago. He goes, "You got to get it out of your system before you do it." And he goes, "Sometimes you got to test drive a few cars before you buy the right one."
Sure, yeah. I don't know, man. I had to grow up fast with everybody kicking the bucket, in the immediate family.
Yeah.
But, it worked out. I married up. So most girls my age or younger wanted to fight about who had me on a friend of Facebook. She wanted to argue about what'd you just spend your money on, idiot. And I'm like, I can have these fights make me better. Let's keep this thing going.
So how long have you guys been married?
It was 11 years, 3 days ago.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Congratulations. You've made it 11. Tracy and I we've actually been together for 30 years, but we've only been married for 23. Yeah, we're coming on 23 now. Is it? I think. Yeah.
So I guess if I'm going off the day that we dated, that would have been 2012, right before I graduated from TCU, actually. So
yeah, I keep forgetting you're way younger than I am. So
it's way younger than a lot of people. That's just been my case, man.
Especially your wife. What?
I tell you what.
Cougar.
Yeah, she's the best of the pack, though. I tell you what.
Oh, she's a great lady. She really is, and I've always enjoyed visiting with her and your daughter. And how old's your son now?
Just turned 10.
Just turned 10.
We're in double digits, so.
Uh-oh. He'll be a teenager before you know it.
I know. I'm not ready for that.
Then he can just tell you, "Dad, shut up. You don't know anything."
Yep.
Just like all of us did.
It goes quick, too, man. I mean, this whole campaign, I'm surprised I'm still married with how much I've been out.
Oh, God.
Beating doors down to handle this. The good news is, once it's all said and done, even when I've been on council, I mean, you get past the campaign period, regardless how it goes, and then it is considerably more tame. So, and she knows that. I mean, she's seen me go through the rigmarole 2 times now.
So, and just out of pure curiosity on my part, is that so if you didn't say you didn't win the election, will you stay on city council?
Yeah, so I'm not, due to the timing, I don't lose my seat. Right now, you've got districts 1, 4, and mayor that are up. So when you file, like in Derek's situation, he could choose to file for District 1 again or mayor. He chose mayor. If I were to lose, I would retain my seat.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, it's
it's not really fair. I mean, I don't like it, but that's just because Derek, Derek's my friend. I tried to talk to him. I said, "Man, can you just stay in seat 1? I don't want to be here super long. Definitely not Scott Kane long."
How long was Scott in?
14 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember when I first met him, and him and the first lady, she still gives me a hard time about that.
I think that's a big part of the unpaid positions, though. And especially if term limits were established across the board, which I think would fix a lot, especially voter apathy. A lot of people just don't go to the polls anymore because they think, what's the point? It's not going to go my way. And
Yeah, that's the sad thing about it, is that I don't think nowadays, I don't think people do proper research. I think they just base a lot of things off the names that they know.
yeah,
It's
and
like,
it does play a role in our strategy too. I mean,
yeah, and it's, oh, I know that name, so I'll just vote for that person or something like that. And I'm always digging, always just want to look and see what's going on, because I mean, it starts from, this level, the city level, and it goes to the state, and then it goes, and then it goes on
mhm.
up to DC. But it it I think, people need, you need to get out and vote, because I've seen some of the numbers with some of the elections that we've had here, and the numbers are not that great.
Yeah, they're abysmal.
There's not a lot of people getting out and voting, but yet there's a lot of people that'll be on social media bitching about everything. But
Mhm.
my question is, did you vote? And my old man told me a long time ago, he said, kid, if you don't vote, shut up and don't bitch and don't say a word, because you got no dog in that game.
Oh,
If you do
absolutely.
that, there's no dog in the fight if you didn't vote.
As George Carlin said, if you don't vote, you lose the right to complain.
Hmm. And he was right. And it's like, and I've seen the numbers here, and they're dismal sometimes.
You know what I'd like to see though is and it's something I would task the councilman with, is to show up for their respective communities that put them there, have town halls, doesn't matter where it is. There's tons of places that would love to have city leadership in their joint, to have other people come to and hear about what's going on or have a say so. And there's not enough of that.
Yeah.
That's the downside. And in all reality, in an unpaid position, the sitting council should be kingmakers for whoever's going to carry up the mantle. And you're not going to do that just showing up to your second and fourth Tuesday meeting and going home. You got to be active in the community. You got to see who the movers and shakers are,
Right.
and who the real public servants are, and say, hey, I think you'd be good to pick up the mantle, not necessarily on policy, just because they have forward thinking. I mean, that's what happened to me. I never intended on running for office, ever. And through all my various nonprofit roles and doing the stuff when I had the free time just to help Cleveland up, I had people come along, why don't you run for office? And I thought, well, maybe I will. And I mean, I think that's one of my largest strengths here is I never intended to be in this role. And I think that might be why I'm more fit for it, because I just naturally want to help people.
Yeah. And everybody pushed on me to run for county commissioner out here. We're in District 4 out here, and somebody goes, "Well, you ought to run for it." And I thought, well, I might, but then I got to thinking, and I think you and I even talked about it at one time. But when I said something about it, and you kind of gave me that look like you lost your damn mind. But I kind of looked at it this way: is if you go into a certain area, you're going to be cleaning up the mess of the person that was before you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to. I don't like him out here. I'm not going to say his name, but I don't like him out here. And a matter of fact, a guy ran against him and just almost got there, off by 300 and some odd votes. I think it was something ridiculous. But the vote count, when I looked at it, it was just minimal. It wasn't much of anything. And I was like going, you guys have got to get out and vote and do the thing. And they're just not doing it.
Yeah.
And it's, so don't complain about the county out here, because I did that one time when you pull into our neighborhood, there were these two holes in the road there. And so I called down there, District 4 one time, and I said, hey, we've got these potholes up here. And I said, can somebody come by and look at these things and let me know? And so I got a call, I guess, the next week, and they said, oh, that's Tex Dot. That's not us. And I'm thinking, well, I wonder if anybody really came and looked at it. And I got that. And so I went down there, and we were voting. And I actually, at that time, voted for the person that was the commissioner now. And there was two guys sitting out there. And I said, "Can you do me a favor?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well," I told them where I lived. And they said, "Oh, yeah, we know, you know your neighborhood." And I said, "Well, there's two big holes right where you turned into our neighborhood." And I said, "They keep blaming it on Tex Dot." And I said, "So could you go in and tell your boss, the one that I just voted for, to get off his ass and come down and take a look at it and see what's going on?" And I can't believe it, but like 4 days later, the holes were filled and they were fixed. So I don't know what caused it or anything, but those two guys may have just took it upon themselves to go down and do it. I don't know.
It's no different in the city, man. There's a
No.
huge disconnect between not only upper management and department heads, but also, more importantly, between staff and department heads. And we've got a lack of communication in some areas. But I can say this about my track record. I'm sure Derek's is the exact same, but anytime someone's reached out to us to fix a problem, they're going to the top because the mayor and council are, good way to think of it's like the board of directors. And the CEO for the city we hire is the city manager who has to deal with the hiring and firing of the department heads. So if you go to the board doesn't like you, they can cut you. So when somebody says, "Hey, I'm having a problem," and we say jump, they jump. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line for the folks that are supposed to run the entire city. And I don't feel like, I can tell you, since I've publicized my personal phone number 3 years ago, whenever I got elected, I had received maybe 12 phone calls. And I said, "If you have a problem, call me. Here it is." I did everything except go give them all a key to my house. But I mean, there's mailers, there's texts, there's posts, it's on the website now. I told Ivy, get my personal cell too, because I always lose the city phone. But the point is, people just don't leverage the person they put in office. And if they would, it would be a lot smoother and it would break down a lot of this, what's the word? Disinformation.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, because you put your personal phone number out there, your personal cell number out there, and you said you've only gotten maybe 12 calls. You know why you've only got 12 calls? Because they're all too busy bitching on Facebook about stuff. That's why. And it's like, I've got your number. If I got a problem, I'll call you up, but I don't have a problem because I'm not in the city limit. Well, we do because we've got businesses in town. And, we don't now, we still have the building down there, but, the business isn't going anymore. But, but I could still, if I ever had an issue, I could pick up the phone and call you and say, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" I learned through you, I learned about the, what was the program the city was doing when you were.
Oh, yeah, the rehabilitation grant.
Yeah. And we got the grant and we took advantage of that, and that helped out a lot. And, we got a lot done because of that. But, it wasn't the fact that I'm going to sit around and bitch about it on social media. I'm going to call you and say, "Hey, man, what can we do here? What's what?" And, we've talked to the city manager. I've talked to the police chief, and I don't know who the fire chief is now, but I've picked up the phone and I've called the police chief before and said, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" Or I've called the sheriff's department about questions and stuff. I just ask, and Tracy's always going, "Well, maybe they don't want to talk about it, man." And I was like, "I don't care. I'll call them anyway and see what's going on." But you've always been transparent. You've never hidden away. I mean, I can get you if I leave you a message or text you. If I can't catch you on the phone, you usually are in touch with me within an hour or two. So it's not like, you're hiding anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, and we all live lives. And
Well, yeah.
Being a business owner, a few now, it's hard to be Johnny on the spot all the time, but my turnaround time's usually pretty quick. Unless, I just had an absolute terrible day. 'Cause I am human. You
Well,
know,
yeah,
I'll tell anybody.
there's some days I'm like, don't bother me today, please.
I discovered what a boat art tree was the other day when I was
Ugh.
banging in T-posts, and I thought it was a mesquite. Evidently, there's two thorny trees that you don't like to find in a field, and I got stabbed by probably I want to say it was a good 16 times. I was drawing blood and everything, and it was right in the brand new jeans. Which can I plug somebody on your show? Is that
Sure,
okay? All right. So you
absolutely.
remember Web Boot Repair
Oh
on
yeah.
the square? So
Yeah.
these two ladies, um, it's called Second Stitch now. They bought it in January. I went in there because I heard I could get the boots fixed, and I didn't want to buy new ones. So I went there and I saw they had they had some other things that they just made out of like leftover clothing, purses and stuff. It was really cool. I go, do y'all do suits? They said we do alterations, everything. I go, all right. So I brought them my suit. They taught me how I could fit in a suit that was too small. I didn't realize what the extra fabric was for. And then I asked them, well, can you do the Humvee doors? You know, the Humvee that I'm driving around with? So they have canvas doors and the windows are falling off. The kids like to pull real hard on the zipper. And I said, can y'all restitch this, reinforce it? They go, yeah, absolutely. Drop it off. I go, oh my gosh. So I got those jeans back and I used those to go work in and it catched a lot of the stab holes. So it's very vastly becoming a pair of Abercrombie pants like we used to see the kids wear back in the
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Boat art trees suck, and my folks had 4 acres down there, and they had those boat art trees, and it's like when you cut them, it's like cutting concrete. They're horrible.
it's not fun.
No, it's not. And God, we took so many of those down, but I mean, we had to bring somebody in to cut them, and they said, "What kind of trees you got?" And he said, "Well, I got boat art." And I said, "Oh," and yeah, we bring different chainsaws for that, and it's like. I never seen anything like it, but they're tough.
Fortunately, these were baby trees, but they still have their thorns
Mm-hmm.
and they hurt.
Oh yeah.
That was the day that that was the day that I was running the chainsaw and oh, Doug's picture went up with the flexing and Jared was out there. He said, you should just take your shirt off with the gut hanging out. So, you know, and we were thinking about doing I might not be able to bench much, but I sure hope y'all show up to the forum tomorrow. Something like that. Uh,
It's been fun to watch it. It's been some days it's been
I've been having fun with it, man.
I'm sure you have. I mean, you've been I mean, I've read some of the crap that people shoot to you, but you've handled it like a champ, man. You've been very professional, very straightforward about it. You know, you're not taking anything personally. Hell, I'm taking it more personally than you are because I'm like going, shut up and leave the guy alone.
I've heard that a lot. Some people want to get involved. I'm like, don't.
Just
don't.
guys, just vote. That's all you got to do, man. Just vote.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't care about your opinions, what you feel about. I don't care that, your street's going to hell or something. They'll get it fixed. There's things that are fixable, but there's a process to it. It's not like it just happens overnight and you blink your eye and it's done. And I mean, I get it. But you guys not getting paid? No, I wouldn't do it.
Ooh, I wanna plug my best but simplest idea. I love Occam's razor. It is simplest solution is the best one, and we got a lot of folks that say, I didn't know this went through. I didn't know this was happening. How come I don't know when the council meetings are? And I told Michael, I go, can we look into a way to just put a QR code or a website address that says, here's where you can see the existing minutes and the upcoming agenda, and you take a picture of it. That way, if you're not there, because you can't really, I guess you could put every second and fourth Tuesday at 5 o'clock. But I mean, for the most part, at least then, if they didn't know what was going on, they either A, don't read their water bill, or B, somebody pays their water bill for them. I
That's
mean,
possible.
the distribution's already in place. I like transparency, and that's why I like not being paid. It gets rid of the whole scrutiny of what are you doing with how are you lining your pockets?
Yeah, that to me that was, I saw that and they were talking about, Scott lining his pockets, and I was like, well, lining his pockets with what? I mean, you guys don't get paid, and you guys, he's the same way. This is his hometown,
Yeah.
and he does it because he loves the place. He does it for the love of it, and I get it that yeah, he's been in for a long time, and I know he wants to step down and spend more time with the family. I don't blame him, and I think it comes a time for everybody that, well, unless you're in D.C. and you want to just spend the next 60 years of your life up there, but I mean, for you guys, it's nice. And I remember when I retired and I came off the road, and that's where my problem was because, Tracy had a system working when I was gone. And when I came home and I was off the road and
You blew it up.
I blew it all up. And she's like, "You sure you can't go back out again?" And I was like, "Nope, my body's not going to let me do it anymore."
Attaboy, Gavan.
And to this day, she still doesn't like me. I asked her, I said, "Why did you marry me if it was this bad?" But she had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, the whole MS thing coming up and all that was kind of a challenge for her. And that was, she hadn't, I don't think she hadn't been anything through anything like that before, but.
Well, Tracy's a real one, I'll say that much.
Oh yeah, she's a real one. She has absolutely zero filter on her. She'll tell you what's on her mind in a minute. She does not care. She just like, and I tell her, sometimes you just got to pull back a little bit, but nope. Now I just step away and just let her go.
That's the perfect recipe, though. You get somebody with zero filter, as long as they know where to take it, that's what makes things move. Whether it's in your house or at the city level, but
oh, she's something else. But it was good when everybody was out here last week, and I could see that glimmer in her eye again, and she hadn't had that in a long time. And I told her, I said, you need to start going to the ribbon cuttings. You need to get more involved with the chamber again, and you need to start doing all this stuff because she felt good doing it. And she was happy doing it, and I think that that helped. Last week helped a lot with her, doing it and being around everybody, and I told her I should just keep doing it.
Well, Cleveland does that to you, man. It's a small town feel.
Yeah, and she's got the personality that she jumps right in there with you.
I miss it when I bought that other agent out in Benbrook. And I had the two offices. I decided to ultimately shut it down just because I could not stand the culture. I merged it with this one here. I had like 3 cash customers a month that actually came to the place, but nobody ever came by. And here, even when they did, they'd come in and they'd throw an envelope of cash down. They're like, "Here, bye." And now back in Cleveland, man, you get folks come in and they genuinely want to know what you've been up to or what you've been doing.
Yeah.
And you don't get that in big cities.
No.
Or if you do get it, you're lucky to find it. It's just.
Yeah, because I grew up in a small town. And so I told Tracy when we made the decision to move down, because we were living in Plano and it was just, Plano was just blowing up, and Frisco was doing the same thing. And, and they started they were going to build the Toyota factory up there, and they were doing all that. And I just wish I had waited one more year before I'd sold my house up there, because I got 4 times what we got for it when we sold it, because the plant they had just started the Toyota factory then. And if we had just waited another year when all the big wigs started coming in, that we probably could have sold our house for a lot more than what we got for it. Because a friend of mine, he's got 10 acres down south of here, and he had one of the big wigs from Toyota came to him, and he just out of nowhere, he said I was talking to the guy one day, and he said, I told him where I lived, and he looked at the place, and he goes, well, I want to buy your house. And he goes, are you buying the house and all the property? He goes, no, I just want the house and just a little bit of a yard around it. The rest of it you can keep. So he built a barn dominium on the other side of the 10 acres and sold that house. And then the guy asked, he goes, well, how far is it to Frisco from here? And he goes, oh, that's a good hour. That could be an hour, hour and a half drive. And the guy goes, well, that's nothing. Hell, that's, and he sold it and away he went. And so I now with the Amazon city being built out there on the north side over there. And I've got some friends that got houses for sale now, and people are saying, just wait, because all the uppity ups are going to be moving in here before long, and they said they're going to be looking. So,
yeah.
So what in the hell are we going to do with this Amazon thing up here? We went by there the other day. I think we drove by there. Was it? I don't know what day it was. We drove by. Tracy just took me out. We were driving around, and we went by there. And it keeps getting bigger every time I go by there. The damn thing gets bigger and bigger. And I've noticed they've already built turn lanes and all kinds of stuff.
They're moving.
Yeah, but when you got all that kind of money, you can move that fast, because I don't think, have they been building that for a year now? I don't think they've been that long, has it?
Maybe about a year. Yeah. Yeah, they don't waste time, and they didn't ask for incentives. Like you say, they didn't need them.
Yeah, that was the other question. I was curious if they came in wanting incentives,
Nope.
To do that. But they're Amazon, and they, like you said, they don't need to do that. And another thing that we talked about a long time ago was the deal with Under Armour. Weren't they gonna looking to relocate here at one time?
So I haven't heard about that. I did not know about Under Armour wanting to relocate. That might have been before me.
I heard that through a person that told me about this, and this has been several years ago, but he brought it up. We were talking about it, and he goes, did you know Under Armour was trying to come here? And I said, I kind of heard just little bits and pieces of it, but I didn't know. But because they wanted to go in the old, what's the old clothing building that's out there on North Main? Well, anyway, they made coats and clothes and stuff out there, but it was all still intact. Of course, it had been closed, but it was all still intact. All the machines are out there and everything. And they said Under Armour was kind of chomping at the bit, but something fell through the cracks, and they ended up going, I think they're going to Alvarado now.
Well, they moved the Under Armour product through Hibbett also. I mean, they sell some of their stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't an Under Armour store by any means, but that's one thing we're missing is we're missing a lot of men's retail apparel, especially now.
We tried it. I kept telling Tracy that, because she was buying all these clothes, and she was buying all these nice clothes. And I said, Tracy, you got to think about this for a minute. And I said, again, I was talking to people. I talk to guys. Where are you getting your clothes? Well, I go down to Tractor Supply and get them, or I go to Walmart and get them, or I do that. And I was thinking, and I told Tracy, I said, don't get into much high dollar stuff, because I don't think you're going to move it. And she didn't. We sold stuff, but it just wasn't the good stuff. And I can't tell you how many times I saw a guy come in or shopping. Usually it was somebody's wife.
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw more women in that men's store than I did guys, because they were always shopping for their husband or the boyfriend or whatever. So, but they had a good 2-year run with it, but I think they just had enough, and they said, no, we're not going to do this anymore. So,
yeah.
So we've still got the building. Somebody goes, you should turn that building into a studio. And I went, no, I'm not doing that.
Why?
Because
That's a good reason.
That's expensive. Because you can go in, I can go in there and I can make and I could go in there and sit in the middle of that store and I could clap my hands or something and you can listen to it. And you've got high ceilings, you got a wooden floor, and it just wants to the sound just wants to ping.
You get a couple hundred sheets of egg foam.
Yeah.
You'd be all right.
Then somebody said, well, you could create several studios and you could have different people renting studios from you and stuff. And I'm like, well, no, again, that costs money to do that. It's not cheap. I mean, by the time you drop in a server and you got it, and, between the microphones and the computers and the, just on and on and on and on. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I mean, you see mine, it's not massive by any means, but it works. But, a lot of people think, I've got to get the best of everything, the best of the best of the best. And it's like, well, don't do that. Don't put yourself in a hole coming out, right off the bat. And, I kind of built this thing up. And so, we changed mics or the headphones. I'm redoing all the headphones again because these suck. But and I just didn't want to get into creating a studio somewhere because I said that's going to get real expensive really fast.
Hear a whole lot of negativity over here.
No, I'm not being I'm being very logical. I'm thinking about the dollar signs.
I tell you what, though, this First Street program we're kicking off out there, that's going to be big. I wish we'd have done it when you guys were still rocking and rolling, because it's finally bringing all these downtown businesses to the table. So the First Street program it's a prerequisite for Main Street downtown to be a part of the downtown cities that are located on the Historic Commission's website. And when we become a part of it, you get access to texasdowntown.org. So if you got somebody that's wanting to buy or lease a historic building, you get a drop down of what comes up, and it's a free resource to the city. But also, it gives us precedent to grants I had no idea existed until we got into this. So Joe Fackel, our EDC, and myself are doing these quarterly meetings, and right now we're in the asset collection phase where essentially we take a 12-page document and fill out what does and does not work for Cleveland. I just reverse engineered the thing and took it to the Historic Downtown Cleveland Association, passed it out, said, y'all fill this out. By the way, your neighbor won't see it, just me. Because, say what you will about downtown, a lot of them have odds with each other, but...
Oh, I had odds with a few of them.
Yeah.
And it was, he knows who he is. I'm not going to mention his name, but I'm not done with downtown yet. I am, I've been talking to some people down there about one of the theaters that's kind of sitting empty down there right now.
So where your studio's going to go?
No. I'm going back to my old background of the entertainment industry, and we're starting to look at some stuff. But I've just got a couple things I got to work out, with the personal, with all this crap that's going on with me, with the, getting a new wheelchair and getting a new car and all that stuff. And so when I get all that done, then it's going to be on, because I got tired of the fact that all of a sudden downtown became, oh, well, there's the east side of downtown and then there's the west side. And I was like going, who started this crap? And then I found out who started it, and so I said something to him one day, and I told him, I said, knock it off. And I said, this is downtown. It's not east and west, where we're going to have a battle downtown between the sides. I said, knock it off.
Yeah, it's not really big enough to have an east and a west.
And he goes, well, I got thick skin. And I said, not if I punched you in the head, and you won't. But it just, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I know there's certain areas of downtown that do well, and there's others that don't, but it needs to be treated as such. It's just one thing. It's downtown.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, and I think I've even asked you about this before, what are we going to do with all these empty buildings that are sitting downtown? I mean, there's one that's across the street from our building, that place has been empty as long as I can remember.
So that online resource is kind of step one. You let the whole state know about it, and people that have the serious funds to get in there and do something with those properties go there to find them. Now, I think the I think a common theme here is a lot of folks think they can do something with these properties, get them for cheap, and then find out exactly what they're coming up against. I mean, between the asbestos abatement, fire suppression,
Right.
uh, making sure your foundation's on point, dealing with your neighbor in the firewall if you got one, and then, of course, your upstairs square footage, the ADA compliance. Those are all challenges anybody that gets an old building's going to face.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I know. We looked at it. We did that. Tracy and I looked at it when we first moved here. And I told her, I said, we could probably buy several buildings downtown. That would be easy. That wouldn't be the hard part. The hard
what's
part would
next?
be bringing it up to code
Mhm.
and doing everything that you have to do to get city inspection passed. And I told her, I said, we couldn't afford to do that because I know what we spent on that building downtown that we've got now. And, luckily with the city doing the things that they were doing and helping in certain areas and stuff, we got it done. But it's like everybody comes to us and goes, well, why don't you rent it to us? And we're like, no, I'm not renting the building. We're not doing that. We're going to either buy it or, well, will you carry the note? No, we're not doing that either. We're just, you want it, buy it. If you don't, that's it. No hard feelings. But I'm just not going to get into the rental situations.
Yeah, the fix, to answer your question, the fix is to draw down the right buyers. And the fastest way to do that is to leverage this First Street program and all the resources that are available with it. And they're very powerful. So,
yeah, because there's just so much down. I mean, a lot could be done downtown, but there's a lot of things that need to be fixed and straightened out. But I'll have to ask you more about this little thing that they're talking about, this website to go to, because I, people always ask. I still get people calling because my number's in the window of the building that's for sale, and people will call me, and we talk, and I tell them what we want for it, and then they go, well, do you know of any other buildings that are for sale downtown? I said, really, I don't. I mean, I don't. I know there's some down there that if you fixed them up might be good, but it's just like the one building that fell down downtown when the back fell out of it. And I thought, when that back fell out, I thought, that's done. I don't think there's any return from that.
no.
And I felt bad for the people that owned it. I mean, it was a sad thing, but that building was never really taken care of. But they told me years ago that the people that owned it before them, they were renting from, said they didn't do anything to it. It took an act of God just to get anything fixed there on that. So,
Well, and that's what doing your due diligence means. Whenever you get into a buying situation, it's a perfect example. And, it was shored up for a year and a half and still nothing was done. And then the whole thing collapsed. There was a second chance on the table and they didn't take it.
well, it was, when it fell out and I looked at that building, I said, what it would cost to bring that building back to where it needed to be. They were looking at a whole lot of money. And I mean a lot of money, because you could see the floors, and I think there was 3 floors in there, and you could see the floors, and I mean everything was bowing in the middle, and I'm thinking, I'm surprised the thing hadn't fallen down sooner. But
Yep. Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot cheaper to handle it before it gets bad.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
But what else I got here? I was looking on my note board here. We already got through that. How many cars you got now? You just got the old
the Monte Carlo.
the Monte
It's kind of
Carlo.
the staple. Picked that up from a client of mine some time ago. And I mean, as far as anything flashy, we're working on an old Scout. 61.
Oh, cool.
It's a 4-banger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for getting around the farm. Got the old 36 with the mother-in-law seat in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That one draws attention when it works. Old 29 Model A, they're all piles. Those 6-volt systems are terrible. You know, if it's dead, you better have another battery because you're not going to move it till tomorrow. And so, because you can't jump them.
I remember you brought a couple of them to the wine festival.
Yep.
And there was a couple times I had to drive you home because it was one of them wouldn't start or something. But
Man, that wine festival was cool too. I was glad to Chuck Bailey and his wife they'd always wanted to ride in the rumble seat of one, and I got to take them around the block in it before it decided to die there. But I was glad to get to do that. I missed that, man. That was good, people.
to you, Chuck Bailey.
Yeah, 100% to
to
Chuck Bailey.
man. He was a great guy. And I miss him. He was such a great guy. Anytime you met him, he was just always in a good mood. He was always in a positive mood. He
Every
was just,
time.
and when he left, I couldn't believe it when somebody told me that. I went, what? And it's, and down at the burger bar, they have the Bailey burger, and that's my
Yep.
favorite. That's my favorite one. So
Same.
Tracy knows. She goes, I'm going to go by the burger bar. And I said, get my
What's
usual.
the spiciest one, you know?
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
But so yeah, if y'all ever get to Cleveland, go to the burger bar. Well, we've got several burger places, but me personally, I like the burger bar the best because they've got a grill that's almost 100 years old and they still cook on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've gotten through everything. I just wanted to bring you on and just, and let you talk to, to the people and, and let everybody know that, he's not doing this for the money. So back off. Jeez.
No, it's cool to just shoot the breeze and talk
It
about.
is. Yeah, it's just fun just to talk. I didn't want to get into this, this in-depth thing. And there was a couple of things, I had questions about, but I just kind of wanted your take on everything because, like I said, I'm neutral on this because I'm not voting. I can't vote. So it's not that I'm not, it's just I can't but we've been friends a long time, and you've always had my support and, and I'll always have your back and anytime any of you anonymous dips want to, just show your face or something, I'll be happy to talk to you. I don't care.
There's some pretty funny ones that I've told. I said, hey, if this goes one way or the other and you see me in a public place, tap on my shoulder and I'll get you a beer. Some of them are so funny and outlandish. It's just...
I'm like, if you see me and you tap me on the shoulder, I'm turning around and punch you in the mouth because I'm sick of listening to you. It's just, it's ridiculous. I mean, just vote, folks. All you got to do, man, it's simple. Just go down and vote.
Yeah.
That's it's our duty. We have the right to do so. Do it. Just vote. Don't spend all your time bitching and complaining about everything or talking bad about the candidates or anything like that. Just go vote. Because the rest of it is just falls on deaf ears. Nobody cares. And I'm trying to be as nice as I can about it because you're here and I don't want to make you look jaded or anything, but
You're doing great.
But oh man, I'll tell you what, if I really wanted to get into it, I would tell you what I really thought. But I don't, I don't, people don't care about my opinion and I don't care about yours. And I don't, so who I vote for is my business. Who you vote for is your business. And I don't need to hear about it. I don't need to,
as long as you do it.
Yeah, just do it. That's all you got to do. And if your candidate doesn't win, it doesn't matter, then support the one that has. Mm. And I say that for you. I say that for everybody. Just whoever wins, support them. Show some support. Get behind them. It's the only way we're going to make things work. If we're going to sit here and fight about it with each other about who won the election or whatever, we're not going to get anything done. We're never going to get anything done. And, you have my admiration for doing it, really, because I wouldn't do it for free. But this is your home, man. This is your hometown. And it's the same way with Scott Kane. You guys, you love this place. this is your hometown, and you want to help do better by it. And I, I fully respect that. And I hope everybody else does too. And just see, pull the good things out of this. Stop pulling all the bad stuff up, but you just got to vote. That's it.
No, this too shall pass,
Always
We got
does.
until next Saturday, and then it's all water under the bridge.
That it is.
Until next time. But I appreciate you having me on.
Always good to see you, man.
People, good to see you.
I wish you the best. You guys, when is it? When's main election day?
So it's May 2nd, and tomorrow's the last day of early voting.
Oh, okay.
Conference Center in Cleveland and City Hall. So you'll see us at the Conference Center. We've been there pretty religiously every day.
I'll give you some of my stickers. You can hand them out.
There you go.
Put them on people's cars.
Deal.
So everybody, hey, you guys, thanks for joining us, man. This has been fun. I really enjoyed talking to Blake. He's going to do good. Whoever you guys elect is going to do a good job. So you guys, get out and vote. It's on a Saturday the 2nd. That's all you got to do. Just go out and vote. And
Spend 5 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long. You can just go right in and do it. So until then, again, Blake, all the best. I wish you best of luck on the 2nd. We'll see how it goes, man.
We'll see how it goes.
And I'll be watching it. You guys will be watching it too. Until then, you guys take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Well, I thought I was going to. Maybe not.
Thanks for joining Epic Stage Journeys and then some. Stay well, and we'll see you down the road.
Much love, y'all. Thanks.